Mate, I tell you what, yeah, ever since his bonds have dropped, everyone's just been acting really weird, you know, like, everyone's looking like bloody freaks, you know what I'm saying, yeah?
Yeah, nah, everyone's lost their Aussie accent. They're all sounding like bloody Yanks.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, mate, I'll tell you what's ridiculous, yeah, is that we have no resources, no water, no food, no nothing. But yeah, Road Warrior going around with a bunch of bloody hairspray at his disposal. Fucking ridiculous, I tell you what.
This is un-Australian.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Here's the first movie.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Peel that pig and slice him thick.
The body count is always bigger.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
The fucking trees walked in those movies. Hi, doggy.
What a story, Mark.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Life moves pretty fast.
If you want your sequel to become a franchise.
37 dicks. In a row?
I'm your number one fan.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Marathon Me with your hosts Rhys
And Kane.
and we're back with the Mad Max franchise with the cap to the original trilogy, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. A movie that feels a little different from the rest. It's set 15 years later. It's almost like we're now in a bit of a post-apocalyptic place. There's been a war between number 2 and number 3. Nuclear bombs have been dropped. People are mutating all over the place. And it just, there's a different vibe to this one. And you know what it is? Is that we're knee deep in the 80s.
Oh, yes, sir, yes we are. From the very first second you hear Tina Turner belting out some vocals, I immediately knew, oh yeah, this was made in 1985. For sure. And then the second you see Max with that beautiful long mullet of his, oh yeah, we're in for something interesting.
Yeah, Mel Gibson is bravehearting it up with those luscious locks, and
oh my god, true.
This does feel like the first step towards the commercialization of Mad Max, right? Did you feel that?
Completely, man, completely. From the more 80s-ification of this world, the inclusion of big-name superstar Tina Turner, and especially the tone of this film, which we will get to certain aspects of this film later, but this definitely feels like more something that this is definitely more something that the studio probably had their fingers in the pie more than the director himself, I feel.
I thought that this was potentially the first one that Warner Bros. Was involved in, because it was the first time that I noticed the Warner Bros. Logo at the start of the film, and that's what I went in this thinking. But I was wrong. Apparently they were also quite involved in part 2, but this one has $10 to $12 million of a budget going on, and like it obviously would mean that they have a lot more influence if, instead of them throwing George Miller $4 million to make a movie, now he's got 10 to 12. The stakes are a little bit higher. It feels that they have more investment in here, so of course they would want more control. Immediately, with having big names like Tina Turner at like the front of this, it also shows that it's a lot more Americanized than any of the rest. Tina Turner isn't trying to put on an Australian accent or anything like that. There's still Aussies all around, but there's definitely a big Americanization to this.
Completely.
Having a big pop theme song right at the start and right at the end to bookend the whole film so that you can sell records off the back of it. It's like, it feels like it is a next evolution of this franchise without a doubt. And what, like, another reason why it feels very, very different is that you would have probably heard about this tragedy that struck, right?
Yes, the death of Byron Kennedy. Yes, I did hear about this.
Yes, the producer, one like massive producer for the first 2 Mad Max movies, and someone sort of viewed as Miller's right-hand man in making these films come to life.
Well, I mean, it is basically like the kind of the first names that you see at the start of these movies, Kennedy, Miller. And at first, I thought it was like Kennedy as in like I was thinking like Kathleen Kennedy, like the Star Wars producer. And then learning, oh no, Byron Kennedy. So yeah, no, like this is like basically kind of like one half of like the kind of creative force behind this IP, really.
Yeah, and understandably, Miller was mourning during this production of the movie, right? He was in a terrible place. And did you notice that when listing the directors, instead of it just being directed by George Miller, he's sharing the credit with two other people.
Yeah.
And like, I was thinking, I wonder what this sort of really means about it, because it was he's also sharing it with George Ogilvy, I think it is. And I was thinking, like, what is the extent actually of sharing this job? Is it just like they're like taking a bit of the load off for certain shots or something, or they're both behind the camera? What it actually was that apparently George Miller just directed the action scenes of this. And most of the other stuff surrounding it was all someone else's directing responsibility.
Right, okay.
And that makes a massive difference, right? Where this, above the rest, probably has some of the least amount of action in it. And most amount of other little world building, like exposition scenes that would have been offset to someone else on the production.
Yeah, there's also one thing that's definitely kind of noticeable about this movie, is that there's a lot less sense of danger when it comes to the stunt work in this film, which that is completely fair enough on like George Miller's part, because obviously the first two movies, like a lot of the stunts are incredibly dangerous. Like, they're very dangerous looking. Like, we didn't even mention that, like, the big truck crash at the end of part 2, they paid the truck driver, I think, like $50 to like flip the truck. And, and it wasn't even like a stunt driver. It was just a genuine truck driver, I'm pretty sure. No, it was a stunt driver, I'm pretty sure. But like, anyways, basically, what I'm trying to say is, like, the stunt work in the first two movies, insane and dangerously done. So obviously, with the third one and having it, George still being in the headspace of, mourning Byron Kennedy, obviously, I guess, wanted to pull back on the more dangerous work, because obviously he doesn't want to put anyone else kind of through something like that again, especially also because Byron Kennedy died in a helicopter crash. So obviously, like, the stunt work is going to be a bit more effective, because, like, damn, I don't want to be fucking around with vehicles as heavily, because obviously we nearly like killed motherfuckers in the first two movies, and my friend died in a vehicle accident, so I kind of want to pull back on that kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
It would make it all feel a lot more real, right? And a lot less fun that being like getting into kooky creative vehicle accidents when one of your best friends just died in one. That's like really weird side note is that post Ryan Dunn dying from Jackass, you can notice that there's basically like they do pretty much very few, if no, vehicle-related stunts after that point.
Right, okay.
Because, of course, you don't want to be messing around with vehicles once it's so real that someone can lose their life because of it. And
it hits too close to home, yeah.
And also, because obviously Warner Bros. Have their fingers in this pie a lot deeper, operational work, health and safety, of course, is probably amped up to the next level. So there's a lot more intention, construction, and like operations put in service here so that people aren't getting hurt, which completely fair enough. But I think there's some other very noticeable differences and things about this movie that they're separated a bit from the rest. But before we go into that and our general opinions, here's a bit of the trailer of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
The world had been through a trial by fire, and only the greatest warriors and their deadliest enemies emerged from the flames.
Who are you?
Nobody.
Oh, mister, I can feel it. The dice are rolling.
He was the one they called Mad.
But he's just a raggedy man.
But to those whose lives hung in the balance...
Where's the whiting ones? Whiting for what? Whiting for you.
He was the one they called Hero.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Now, Mad Max is back in Beyond Thunderdome.
Kane, what did you think of this cap of the original Mad Max trilogy? Was it good? Was it bigger? Was it better? Or was the commercialization of the whole film a bit too much for you?
Well, it was certainly bigger. I can definitely say that. You can definitely tell where the money went. I was not looking forward to watching this one because this is the one that no one talks about. It's the one that seems to be, genuinely considered the worst in the franchise. So, was not looking forward to it. And in a way, it does kind of suck. But, oh my fucking lord, it is a fascinating beast of a movie. It is... I don't know how to describe... Well, actually, I kind of do know how to describe it. Like, I'm kind of in love with it, but also it kind of sucks as well. I wouldn't exactly consider... I would... It's I can understand why people would think that this is the worst in the franchise, but it's just such an interesting beast of a movie to me, man. Everything that they were doing in this movie, I'm just fascinated. But as the film goes on, I'm just asking myself, what the fuck are they doing? What are they doing? I should hate this, but I can't look away.
So,
which we will get into. But I look. All in all, I quite enjoyed this. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I enjoyed the shit out of this.
That's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear if you actually enjoyed this or if if it was a bit painful. So ironically,
I went a bit too over the top of it, but yes, I did really enjoy this.
So ironically, would you call this Mad Max film with the least amount of car action a bit of a road crash, like a bit of a car crash movie? Bit of a little bit, yeah. Not to the extent of some of the other car crash movies that we've talked about, but yes, I would consider it a car crash movie in that sense. So it's flaws, and it's because what I'm getting from this is that it's flaws, and deconstructing it is what you can't look away from. It's the
yes, completely,
and that's where the car accident comes into it.
Yes.
So I on the other hand, so when I first watched this film, I remember really liking it, having pretty much very few complaints about it. I liked it.
Okay.
I rated it a lot higher than The Road Warrior.
Really? Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Second watch, this time round, it starts as a fun romp. I've got to say, the first 40 minutes, loved.
Yeah.
I loved how ridiculous and over the top it all was. And then it goes to shit, in my opinion. The moment that the feral orphans come into it, it takes the whole thing off the rails. It ruins it for me. It was the moment that Mel Gibson as Mad Max gets sent into the desert to the gulag and then finds this tribe of kids. Fuck, this could go in the bin for all I care from that point forward.
I was so excited to hear your opinion on this, man. Oh my
it starts
God.
to feel like the fucking Goonies or Peter Pan. We go from Thunderdome to Neverland in one scene. Oh my God. And I was just bored out of my fucking brain. When Mad Max becomes this sort of messiah for these kids, I just wanted to turn it off. I could not wait. I was so excited for them to leave this weird Coveney place and for the kids to just fuck off. And then I'm like, oh, okay, they're going to come up at the... What's going to happen now? They're going to come up at the end and sort of help them in their big final battle. They stay. Yeah. The kids come with Max and they stay for the whole rest of the movie. And I hated it. Oh my God. Okay.
And you are completely in the right to hate it, man. You are completely in the right to hate it. I understand it. I understand your reasonings, but I just couldn't look away from it.
Oh.
I just sit. You want to know? All right, here. Let me tell you about my experience a little bit.
Okay.
So I agree as well. I think the first 40 minutes. Terrific. I think the first 40 minutes is genuinely really great. The Thunderdome stuff, I was not expecting Thunderdome to be some weird Like, I knew it was going to be a Gladiator type thing, but I didn't expect it to be Gladiator mixed with Cirque du Soleil with the fucking bungee cords.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, I honestly, it took a second to get used to, but once, like, I got into it, I'm like, okay, nah, this is fun. I like this. And I thought that the whole movie was going to be this, like, kind of, like, Gladiator-style film where, like, Max is, like, fighting different opponents, and there's a lot of, you know, political intrigue within, like, the world of Bartertown, which I read as Bordertown for a second, which I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Okay, I forgot about that cartoon series. But, yeah, so once he sent into the gulag, I nodded off for maybe 30 seconds, not because I was bored, but because I just have a bad habit of, like, if I'm not eating something or drinking something or maybe doing something with my hands, sometimes, and if in certain conditions, if my room's really warm, I'll just end up falling asleep or getting really sleepy. Plus, also, I had work earlier that day, so that probably didn't help.
This is the Zoomer Generation Z experience for everyone. By the way, it's just if there's no like Subway Surfers going on or anything, then we're just gonna lose interest and concentration out the window.
Exactly. No, like, I don't know. It's just a weird. It's just a weird thing that happens to me. Where, like, every now and again, even if I'm really into the movie, I'll just end up getting really sleepy for no reason. But so like maybe I nod off for about 30 seconds, like after he set out into the gulag. I then proceed to wake up when one of the kids finds Max and starts screaming out to the other kids. I wake up in a cold sweat, thinking like, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on? I see that we're following different characters, and I'm like, hold on, did I miss something? What the fuck's going on? I rewind, it's like, oh, I only missed 30 seconds. Okay, cool. And so as we keep going, and as I'm waking myself up, I then realize, oh no, because I watched reviews on these movies, and so initially I knew that there was kids in this movie, but had forgotten about it. It completely blanked out of my mind. And so once it starts leading up to, like, Max being taken to the kids, I'm just saying to myself, I'm like, no. I this can't be real. No. And lo and behold, it's real. And my mouth is, I'm sitting there angry, in denial, being like, what the fuck is this? Nah, this can't be it. What the fuck's going on? And eventually, I'm just like, okay, we're here. Let's just see where this goes. And I'm just like, this is fucking silly. This is stupid. And that's, like, the first third of this movie, incredible. The rest of it, silly, stupid nonsense, ridiculous, completely goes against the franchise and its grounded, gritty roots. But I kind of had fun with it, honestly. I kind of had fun with it. Is it good? No, not really, not at all. But I kind of had fun with it, honestly.
I fucking wish. I wish that I could have fun with it, because I like, in watching the whole trilogy in a row, first two, I'm reeling. I'm like, I am so invested. Third one starts and it's just bonkers, balls to the wall, but still so entertaining and such an interesting expansion to the world, it feels like. Yeah. So I'm still in there. And then this happens, and I'm like, fuck, can I just go to the bathroom now? And yeah, Tony, don't pause it, just leave it, keep on going. So like, I wanted to just leave. I wanted to go to sleep at this point. I wanted to do anything else other than that. I was completely out of it at that point. I just hated the freaking painting like Max as a god. I just did not like, became way too mystical, and like watching this as this is the commercialization of Mad Max, to me was cemented when these kids came into it, because I'm now like, okay, let's see, are they trying to expand the audience to make it for kids? And then I look it up, the first PG-13 Mad Max film, and how do you appeal to kids? Yep. Let's get a couple of kids characters in there, or you know what, whole tribe of kids. And that is exactly what they did, and it felt so pandery. It felt like it was so...
it definitely is. It completely.
And like, I hadn't felt that point in a Mad Max film yet. But at this moment, it was like, this scene is not for me anymore. It is now for the kids. And it didn't feel like it was for George Miller either. It didn't feel like it was for the people making the movie. It felt like it was for fucking for just commercial gain. And
they pulled like a RoboCop sequel basically, where the first one's gritty as fuck and then the rest of them are child-friendly garbage.
I didn't even, and what's funny is that I didn't even mind Tina Turner being there, right? Like that would.
She's a lot of fun in this movie. I didn't even expect her to really be the villain in this movie. Like, cause I mean, I guess like it is kind of obvious like when watching the movie that they do the bait and switch with the fucking what's it called, Master Blaster. Like they do like the bit of the switch, introducing them as the villain, and then boom, having like Tina Turner be the villain. But like I didn't mind Tina Turner either. I thought she was fun.
Like she almost plays into the intrigue of like the wow, this is a grand development of this world now, where the kid stuff doesn't feel like a grand development. It like the film feels like it stops at that point as well. It is and it goes for so long, and I fucking hated it. Anyway, so it made me upset. I was so upset by this because, as you were saying before, Master Blaster, all of that shit, I loved. That is like a freaking cartoon villain right there. Fantastic. Also bait and switch of Master Blaster being this like this giant brute character with this little dude on his shoulders as like the sort of brains of the operation, being in charge of Bartertown because of them controlling the weird like pig shit fuel operation. Such a cartoonish adventure. I loved it.
They balance the line of like still kind of trying to keep it serious, but like like being a lot more cartoony than the first and second, especially the second movie. But like they nail that balance in the first 40 minutes, and then obviously they just are like, then it's just a hard veer right into just child-friendly Peter Pan nonsense.
Yeah, also, sorry, forgot to mention, you know what's bizarre is that the whole kids aspect of this kids tribe was the initial idea for the film. Before it even was a Mad Max movie, George Miller wanted to make this Lord of the Flies sort of thing. And then this Lord of the Flies sort of thing where then an adult stumbles across this child colony and then sort of like saves them and like gets them to progress. And like this is, and then they turn it into Mad Max, and I'm so upset that it still was such a primary part of it.
You see, here's kind of what one thing I was really fascinated with after finishing this movie is that, like, initially I'm thinking, like, okay, this is studio corporate mandated garbage right here, where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to include kids for like, to appeal to general audiences, and that most likely is the case. However, I also was thinking to myself, I'm like, I feel like George Miller definitely kind of had a hand in the kids aspect, not only being, picking up this script for a Lord of the Flies post-apocalyptic story, but it's no coincidence that after this kids movie, this kids movie, quote unquote, he would then go on to direct other kids' movies like Babe Pig in the City, Happy Feet. Think about it, Rhys. I think it is definitely corporate meddling, but I definitely think that some of these kid-friendly aspects, I feel like George Miller had a bit of a hand in. I feel that's my conspiracy right here.
Well,
that's what I've been kind of thinking.
I had a bit of a chat to my friend Christian about this, and he quite likes Thunderdome and has very, very fond memories of it from watching it from a kid. So he was also saying that potentially it is just the nostalgia and the member berries of it all. But his view on the kid inclusion was that George Miller wanted to make something that he could sort of include his kids in on now and sort of share his art and expression with his family, which is a much more optimistic viewpoint of this, which actually completely makes sense with him going on to making other family films afterwards.
Yeah, and then also with probably with like the death of Brian Kennedy, probably gave him a different outlook on the world, maybe an outlook on his directing style, even. You know what I mean? Like a less. Like, because, the first two movies, they're goofy, but they have a bit of a nihilistic edge to them that this movie and subsequent entries later on into his filmography kind of lack. You know what I mean?
My rebuttal to this would be that like that it is on the record that George Miller did lose a lot of his passion for this movie, like pre-production even, and with him only directing the action sequences, I think that he sort of did potentially just like, he's in the driver's seat, but someone else, like, it's Warner Bros. That is driving the car at this point.
Right, yeah.
He's
fair.
like, actually, no, he's in the passenger seat and will be napping for a lot of the journey, but then will come over to drive the car at the harder moments, but then, like, it's up to Warner Bros. To fill in the gaps. And he's a bit like, do whatever, do whatever needs to be done.
Point.
That's what I feel anyway, and where I feel a bit like you brought up the tone before, right? The freaking action sequence when they go back to Bartertown, and now they have the kids with them, and they're like fighting in the pig shit distillery. And that feels like it's out of a goofy kids comedy in the way that kids are swinging around and like kicking the adults and they're like, whoa, sort of like it's one of those.
Oh my god, the reactions from the fucking villains during the action scenes in the third act is ridiculous Looney Tunes ass shit right here. It's fucking stupid,
and that's where it turns into fucking Goonies. And I like that. That's not what I want from this franchise.
Don't even get me started on the fucking music as well.
Yes.
You got like a lot more kind of like more like goofy what's it called, like whimsical ass music in this film, like fucking like I'm watching I'm watching Pan with Robin Williams right now. Not Pan Hook, sorry.
You're exactly right. It's going from Thunderdome to Neverland. That's like what's happening. And it's I find it really interesting that apparently in the original trailer for Thunderdome they used music from the original, because they changed the composer for from the second one to the third one, and that then makes the music have a totally different feel, and overall the entire film have a very different feel. And they used the original composer's music for the original trailer of Beyond Thunderdome.
Damn.
So even watching that, it feels a lot more akin and aligned with the other Mad Max movies, and like it fits in the same universe, where this feels like another layer of fantastical that it's going into. Also, a massive, glaring difference in this film with the action in comparison to the other ones is there is barely any car action here.
I know! Dude, I literally wrote in my notes, like right before the climactic chase scene, I'm like, for a Mad Max movie, there's fuck all car action in this. And then literally a minute later, the final action set piece happens. But yeah, no, that is true. There is little to no car action or activity whatsoever until like the last 20 minutes.
I don't even know if in the first two Max punches anyone. Like, it's not really. I don't think that it's really portrayed that he's this like a really high skilled martial arts fighter. I think that what it shows,
not at all.
It's like his car is an extension of him. He's the interceptor, and it's like him and his car is what makes him into a weapon. That's like he's not going around like punching multiple people, like fighting multiple people at once and getting through.
Yeah, this isn't an Indiana Jones type situation, not at all.
Yeah, but then he takes on Master Blaster, who apparently Blaster like can kill a man with his breath. But then Max is able to take him on, and like, this isn't the person that this isn't the character that we've been established to this entire time.
It is very out of character, yeah, because in the first, especially in like Road Warrior, you see when you're seeing like shots of him in the interior of the truck, he looks fucking terrified. Like despite being a grizzled fucking hardened man, you get the sense that this motherfucker thinks he's going to die in any action scene that he's in. And then the third one, it's like, I'll take on this big hulking massive a man. Sure, why not? It's ridiculous.
It's like he becomes a superhero. He becomes a fucking godlike figure in the third one, where he isn't that beforehand. There's even now when thinking about it too, there's this added sort of like a layer to his character that in the first two movies, he's not just like physically not like a martial art fighter, but he's also like an injured man. Like he has like this like bung leg because of getting shot in the first one, and I think that is a bit of a symbol, right? That it's like him and Machine together is what makes him into the weapon. And then in the freaking third one, he's Circus Olaying around the Thunderdome all fine, even though he got his kneecap shot out in the first movie. And
I'm pretty sure he doesn't even walk with a limp in the third movie. From what I remember.
Well, would make sense. Would totally make sense because he's jumping around. Also, during that Thunderdome fight scene when they're like starting in these weird elastic harnesses, Tony said to me in that moment, he's like, I don't know if I love that this is happening or I actually hate it that they've chosen to be like jumping around in this Circus Olay things.
Yeah,
and
I had those same thoughts, yeah.
And I totally agree. I'm so glad that like this movie being called Beyond Thunderdome, there's only one fight in the Thunderdome.
Yeah, that is so surprising. I genuinely thought the final climax would have taken place at the Thunderdome, or at least had like a scene of the Thunderdome maybe getting destroyed, maybe? I don't know.
When I picture Thunderdome in my mind, I imagine something a lot bigger that probably could have had cars in there, like a big car arena sort of thing.
Oh, like a demolition derby type shit. Yeah, true.
Yeah. I think that would maybe that must have been an idea at some point in the production process, but they just thought, too much, too hard to do that.
It would have had to be. Yeah, it had to be.
All the ingredients here before watching the movie, that's the recipe that you're making, right? But yeah, so what I like about the Circus Olay thing is that there are phases to this Thunderdome battle, that even though that it is one scene, it's like there's three distinct phases there, where it's Circus Olaying around, and then when they start to get weapons, and then when they cut themselves down, and then when Mad Max knows that he just has to pretty much blow in the whistle to get this weakness, but yeah, really, really good fight scene, and with a fantastic climax to it when they break off Blaster's helmet to reveal that he is a dude with a disability.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was not expecting that at all. And I'm like, damn. Okay, this is an interesting way to end this sequence. And then just with Max, also struggling to actually finish the job type thing.
Yeah.
And then just having, what was it? That is kind of like the kind of maybe that is what then brings us to the bait and switch of it's actually Tina, he's showing us that, oh no, Tina Turner, that's the real enemy here.
Yeah, it immediately, it's a brilliant, it's so video gamey though, right? In the way that in that moment, it also immediately humanizes Master as well. That he comes out and he's like, no, he has the brain of a child. Don't do anything there. And it's you've defeated this character, but have still regained your humanity. That you haven't killed this quite innocent creature, and then immediately is okay, Master actually has some humanity to himself as well, but his sort of power is taken away from him. What can this character be now with his power stripped? Maybe there's capacity there for them to be a good character. And then it switches it all up, and it's intense. It's a really good bait and switch with Tina Turner being the villain. And then all the momentum gets fucking put in the toilet when he's sent out to the gulag.
Is that what's it called? Because why does he get sent out to the gulag again? It's because he refuses to kill Master, right?
Blaster. He refuses to kill Blaster, and then he's sent to the second game show activity, which is the Wheel of Fortune or something.
Yes, yes.
It's
sorry.
Yeah, so they then spin this wheel that pretty much decides the fate of Max, because the one rule of Thunderdome and of this community is that 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. And it has to be that way.
Okay, because I was thinking about that. I just wanted to confirm, because how funny is that we just watched a movie where the characters in this area, they have to commit to the bit. They have to, kill. In Thunderdome, you have to kill someone in order to leave. Ooh, what How crazy is that? A little connection between the Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and the Hostel movies.
Oh, true. I actually didn't... Also, Hunger Games. You gotta, like...
Oh, yeah, true.
Only one person leaves. Yeah.
Oh my god,
yeah.
Not bad.
But Hostel and Mad Max, interesting. Well, here's a weird thing, though. Like, Hostel very much would have been inspired by Saw, right? And then...
Oh,
there's the full circle.
Max.
Yeah.
There we go. All we got to do now is just try to fucking bullshit our way to have the Omen connect to it in some way, and then we're golden.
Yeah, I honestly, when you were talking about this connection, I thought that you were referring to the Omen, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I cannot agree with you here. So yeah, that's like generally my feeling about how the momentum of this movie goes, and like my experience with it. Like, I enjoy the final car battle climax, which is a lot of fun, but I'm just sort of sick of the characters at this point.
I don't blame you.
Because now it's the most like ragtag group of random people come together, because now it's like the kids, it's also like Master is like wearing a little suit and is like part of their little family. Also, Bruce Spence plays another character in this film.
Yeah, plays another fucking pilot in this movie that's supposed to be a different dude.
A different pilot? How like, strange.
Like a different pilot, sure, is already weird enough, but like... Why the fuck did you get Bruce Spence back? Like, I like Bruce Spence, but like, why the fuck did you get him back in this, man? It's just confusing.
The weird...
like, what the fuck?
Like, I would think that they would have two approaches here, right? Because apparently they had this character in the script as a new, unrelated... character that flies a vehicle, and they didn't want to like hire Bruce Spence for it, but then the actors that they had lined up, they fell through, so then last minute they put Bruce Spence in the role. So in my mind, they only have two options. They have either hire someone else and then it's a new character, or hire Bruce Spence again and then just write that he's the same character. But then they took this middle ground where they're like, nope, same actor, different character, very similar traits, but instead just becomes this weird spiritual successor to the initial character. So weird. All you had to do to line them up and make them the same character is just in their first interaction when Max and this new dude meet up, that they recognize each other. And then it's like, okay,
literally.
Enough time.
You just need maybe one line, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. You put one line in there and then it's like connected it up. Nope. It's like, why was it so important to make them different characters?
No idea. I think everyone was just too focused on the kid-friendly aspect to think about the little finer details. You know, they were too busy trying to do their own little post-apocalyptic Peter Pan Goonies type fare. You know?
Yeah, exactly. One more Mad Max setting the bar for cultural moments in cinema history is this climax is a train chase scene.
Yep. Dude, yep.
Years predating Back to the Future Part 3. Both of them and the trilogy. It is this intense train chase scene where like the protagonists are in the train running away from the people chasing them. The whole film almost has this sort of like Western feel to it in a weird way.
Oh, yeah.
And predates freaking Back to the Future 3, one of the most iconic, well-known cinematic trilogies ever. So
insane.
It just... George Miller keeps on beating the curve. He keeps on setting the standard.
And also, again, to reiterate, both this movie and the original Back to the Future came out the same year, probably were in production right about the same time. So, what the fuck, George Miller, you've done it again. What the fuck, man?
Exactly. He's a clairvoyant, this man. I'm curious for what future tidings Furiosa has actually predicted.
Oh my god, yeah, true. Holy shit, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what other big film fare will be inspired by Mastermind George Miller.
Yeah. The one other character that I quite like in this is, do you know Angry Anderson?
I've heard the name and I know what character you're talking about, but I don't know what he's been in.
So for all of those uninitiated, because for some reason Kane's like Australian like media knowledge is somewhat just like there's like massive gap there. Even though that
it's very limited.
Even though that Kane is like freaking unreal with his knowledge of like American cinema, but Angry Anderson is like a bit of an Australian icon in the way that he's been in a couple of bands in the 70s and 80s, but also is like this sort of weird character actor, pops up in a lot of the Paulie Fennick shows like Fat Pizza and Swift and Shift Couriers and stuff like that, as well as just like he's just sort of like a big known Aussie personality.
Right.
Also was on Go Back to Where You Came From because he's a bit of a self-admitted racist.
I'm sorry, there's a show called Go Back to Where You Came From.
Yes. Actually, awesome.
What the fuck?
No. Awesome show, though. This is the concept of the show, right? It's an ABC show where they send people that are self-admitted, like, anti-asylum seeker people.
Right.
And they send them to... the home countries of many asylum seekers to show them the life conditions that they're going through and contextualize to them why they would seek asylum in Australia.
Oh, okay. It's like one of those British shows. It's like one of those fucking British shows where they send the rich people down to fucking poor council estates. Okay.
Yeah. It is a bit like that. And they had a celebrity. They had a celebrity one with politicians and actors and people that self-admittedly anti-asylum seeker. And Angry Anderson was one of them.
Interesting.
And came out a changed man. But
lovely.
But anyway, I love seeing Angry Anderson on screen just because of what a weird character he is in real life. And in this, playing Iron Bar is also a strange character with a mannequin head always attached to him via a pole. And that's the beauty of so many of these Mad Max characters, right? Is no explanation for this. No actual talking about. No one acknowledges that he has this weird mannequin head attached to him at all times. It's just a little quirk of his character.
It's just very matter of fact. It's just there and just deal with it.
Exactly.
Bro, I swear to God, man, Angry Anderson's character, you know how I mentioned earlier that this movie, that like as the movie goes on, it feels like a fucking Looney Tunes episode. This dude literally feels like a bloody Looney Tunes villain. I swear to God. Like, you know, especially like him getting knocked in the vat of pig shit and then fucking rising up from out of the shit like he's goddamn fucking Martin Sheen in Apocalypse Now. There's so many points of this movie where I'm either laughing my ass off of how stupid this shit is, or I'm rolling my eyes. And like for that scene, I did both, laughing and just rolling. I'm like, oh come on, dude, what the fuck is this shit, man?
Oh, but God. And when you mentioned that, I immediately thought of him hanging off the side of the train and like dodging all these things. That is Looney Tunes as hell.
No. You know what's even more Looney Tunes? Like, yeah, that, but like. Also, the fact that like he gets caught in an explosion and he's completely fine, apart from just being like just coated in black soot. Like all he needs is a bloody bunch of. All he needs is his teeth to be sticking out like piano keys and a big lump on his head. Like, bro, what the fuck are you? What the fuck's going on with this movie, man?
Little blue birds circling his head. He actually, what happened was when he was charred in the explosion, he did just like sort of evaporate into ash, but his eyeballs were left floating, and then they sort of followed down, and then he put himself back together, obviously.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, they cut out the ash part.
I'm surprised there wasn't a fist fight between him and Max, and there's just a big dust bowl happening with like fists flying and stars and big swirls happening.
Well, he's a superhero; he could make it happen.
And maybe like Max like it leaves the dust bowl for a second and then gets like dragged back in. Like, you know, why don't we just include that? Why not? Let's just go over the top with this. Let's just not only veer the direction in a hard left, but let's just drive it off a fucking cliff. Why not?
Max would leave the dust bowl to see it still going on for a second, and then he's tapping his foot, being like, "What's going on here?" And then Angry Anderson's head pops out the side, looks at the dust bowl, and sees that he's just fighting himself. And then, and then Mad Max goes back in there. But yeah, that's sort of the places that this movie ends up at, right? That wouldn't be too far disconnected from what we're seeing.
Oh no, definitely not, man. Fucking hell. Maybe if that shit happened, maybe then you would have come around. You would have been like, okay, you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we get this really weird final dark note of the in this film where all of our protagonists escape into a plane together. And they fly.
How they fit in that mini plane, I have no fucking idea. But hey, hats off to you.
Well, they're all children and little people, so I guess it sort of helps that way.
But did you see how small that plane is? Like, when it's introduced in the start of the movie, I thought it was just like, like a 2-seater. And then there's a whole compartment for like 5-6 kids. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. There's freaking other... Mad Max is a god in this universe. There's no boundaries of reality.
Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be questioning the logistics of goddamn Beyond Thunderdome, true.
Well, they take an aerial tour of the great city of Sydney in all of its apocalyptic glory. And I think that's interesting because what this is sort of defining, I think, which is something that I've mentioned in the first episode, is how... like what we're seeing is not the entire world. We're seeing like the sort of like these particular like suburbs and regions, usually probably in like the sort of rural regional part of Australia, and showing that there is a whole city that is still sort of there. And this is pretty much the only time that it's really brought to knowledge and brought to the consciousness of this world that there was a city at some point that got turned into this desolate landscape. And I'm very interested to see if there's ever going to be expansion on this. And on
true, that'd be pretty interesting.
How the actual cities in Australia collapsed upon this apocalypse that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, a bit of a weird, like, unique take for them to go here.
It is very interesting. I remember like freaking the fuck out when they do bring up Sydney, and for some reason, all right. Look, here's one little thing I want to mention. Right, is that I really enjoyed this movie. It's fucking stupid, and I'm aware of that, but I really enjoyed it. But like, it's bizarre. Like, I've been thinking about over the last 48 hours that, by all accounts, I should have hated this. I should have been there right with you and fucking despised this movie because, like, I hate goddamn, like, movies where they're pandering towards kids and, taking away the edge that the series was known for. I hate that kind of stuff. I fucking despise it. I have no idea why this, like, hooked me in as much as it did, and I was, like, enjoying it in a weird, ironic, but not ironic sense as well. For some reason, the final, like, minute of this film gave me chills.
Oh,
like, the
okay.
final narration gave me chills, and, like, I was weirdly moved by it, which I can't explain. I don't know why, because, again, by all accounts, I should fucking hate this. I should despise this, and yet I didn't. I understand that it's bad. And I know it's bad, but I enjoyed it. I had fun with this. Like what the fuck?
And all the power to you, man. I'm jealous. I wish that I could have enjoyed it that much, but I couldn't bring myself to it. I don't know why. I don't know. Actually, no, I do know why. This is why.
Yeah.
This is fucking why. The first two movies...
Tell it like it is.
The first two movies truly feel like a product of passion, where this one feels like a product of commercialism. And the magic dissipates once that happens. Once that realization comes to mind, I think. Also, we didn't even really touch on this because there's not much to touch on, but it is worth saying, is that Max's arc in this is just the exact same arc as the second one. Is just now.
Yeah, completely.
It is just loner mystic figure is all about being lonely, and then finds a community that he regains purpose in supporting and building up and defending, right? Exact same thing. And then he disappears into the sandy wasteland to help another community. So
into the sandy wasteland to then morph into Tom Hardy.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe was it in the final moments listening to this wonderful song that got you emotional, Kane? Tina Turner's "We Don't Need Another Hero."
Out of the ruins, out from the wreckage, can't make the same mistake this time.
And don't forget to check out our Facebook page at MarathonMeOfficial, all one word, and our Instagram, MarathonMe_official, to keep up to date on the podcast. And hey, if you want to get into contact with us, email us at marathonmepodc, yes, the letter C, @gmail.com. Like podcast without the R.